Hey, I'm Brian here at Smile Fitness, and today we're going to talk about how athletes can get more out of their training, how to make it more effective, more efficient, and more sustainable long term. So some mindset shifts about what to prioritize in your training and some specific strategies as well. So when you think about your training, there is a cost to your training, there's a cost to your sport. If you're playing a sport, you're training for that sport, there are costs associated with that. There are things that you do, it takes resources to recover from. It takes energy to do. So playing your sport has a certain cost, but then doing heavy strength training, conditioning, power work, mobility training, etc. Now I want you to think about celery for a minute. A lot of people talk about celery as being a negative calorie food, meaning the calories we get from celery itself is actually less than the calories we burn chewing, digesting, processing celery. That may not be entirely true, but it's close. So the idea stands. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're not trying to take in calories, that's actually a net benefit to you if you can eat food and have fewer calories, right? So what is the celery of training? That's where mobility work comes in. That's where things like CARs, joint rotations, isometrics aimed at improving connective tissue and joint health come into play. Because yes, it does take some energy to do that, but the capacity it creates in you to do other things makes it a net gain. And I've seen this with myself, I've seen this with clients, so many athletes I've worked with, their lowest hanging fruit, the strongest lever they can pull to improve their training effectiveness and their overall health is mobility training. So strength training, if I'm doing a squat, heavy squat, I'm pushing hard, right? I might improve my ability to create force. I might, over time, build muscle, build strength, and that can apply to my sport. Cool. But that also has a high cost. It creates soreness, it creates stiffness. You need time, you need energy to recover from that. With mobility training, it doesn't have the same cost. You don't need as much to recover from it, but can still create strength gains, especially where we need it most, which is in our joints, our tendons, our connective tissue, which tends to get injured the most. Now, the other amazing thing is, if I improve my shoulder rotation, if I improve my hip rotation, that hip, that shoulder is now capable of doing more. It's capable of using more of the muscle around it than it was before. So my squats are actually going to get better if my hip works better. My throwing, my bench press, my pull-ups, the capacity for that is going to improve if I improve my shoulder mobility and my connective tissue around my shoulder. So even though there is a cost to mobility training, it's not as high of a cost, and it creates so much extra potential and capacity in other ways that it is a net gain. It is the celery of training. And that's why it's such a foundational part of all of my training programs that I do for myself and my clients and athletes. So initially I get a lot of pushback on this concept from athletes because they don't know where to fit this in. They say, Coach, where do I fit in my mobility work? They want it to be an afterthought, a warm up, a cool down, but you're not going to make big gains like that. So they say, like, I'm playing, I'm practicing, right? I have games, I'm lifting, I'm conditioning. There's just no room for the mobility work, which to me is ridiculous, but I understand it, right? That's like saying I have no more calories left for the celery, right? The celery is actually going to make more room for you. The mobility work is going to create more capacity and more ability to recover from the other stuff you're doing. You want to get better at your lifting, you want to get better at your sport. The mobility work is the foundation that's going to make everything else you do more efficient and more effective. But until you experience it, it's very hard, right? So I tell people, you just have to trust me. If you don't trust me, that's fine. But if you do trust me, I want you to put in some concerted effort on improving your mobility for a month. 3 months, 4 months would be awesome. Most people are like, I don't want to lose my gains. I'm going to lose my muscle. I'm going to lose my power, etc. You're not. You're absolutely not going to do that. But let's just humor you, right? Take a month, work on your mobility, work on your joint health. Do simple things that are going to have a great result, and you will feel the difference. And when you start feeling the difference, you're going to be a little bit more incentivized to dig deeper into that. So for now, how can you do that? CARs, controlled articular rotations, is where I would start. So big joint rotations. For most athletes, I want them to prioritize shoulders, hips, ankles. Absolutely hit the other stuff too, knees, wrists, spine. If you're watching this, if you're on YouTube, I have YouTube videos, okay? Intro to cars, intro to upper body cars and lower body cars. I have all kinds of videos that you can find where I dive deeper into these concepts. But the key is find some stuff you can do now, you can be consistent with, and stick with it for at least a month. If you're at that point and you're not sure what to do, let me know, okay? I promise you this stuff works. You will feel the difference. I spend probably 20% of the time lifting that I used to. I spend maybe half the time doing conditioning workouts. I spend a similar amount of time doing my sports skills, but that practice on the skills is way more effective because I have better mobility, better joint health. The things that I'm doing in my training, I can do more intensely and recover more quickly from because of the mobility work I've been doing for months and years. It works. Trust me. You don't have to trust me, but I'm biased. I think you should trust me. Check out some of my other videos and see what you think.